They let their son hit my daughter at the dinner table while everyone laughed and said, "She needs toughening up." I smiled, cleaned her bleeding lip, and took her hand. By morning, every gift they ever gave her was in the trash and my husband was staring at me like he'd just met a stranger. I grew up in upstate New York with two younger siblings, Margot, 36F, and Leon, 34M. We were raised by two very image-focused parents. They were never abusive, but I'd describe them as perfectionists. What mattered most in our family was how things looked. Whether or not we were happy didn't matter as much as whether we seemed happy. As kids, I went along with that because I didn't know better. But as I got older, especially after college, I started to see the cracks. I married young, too young, honestly, and my ex-husband, Tyler, was emotionally unavailable and borderline narcissistic. We divorced 6 years ago. No kids. It took a toll on me mentally, and I was in therapy for a long time after that. Still am. I've become more self-aware, more reflective, and yeah, probably less fun than I used to be. But I also became less tolerant of fake, performative happiness. And in my family, that made me the problem. For the past 20+ years, our family has had an annual summer vacation tradition. Usually somewhere warm and relatively affordable, Virginia Beach, Outer Banks, Ocean City, etc. This year, they booked a week at a resort in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Every year, we all pitch in for a beach house or group resort stay, do 1 or 2 fancy dinners, and have family night games or drinks in the evening. It's chaotic but familiar. Last year, I voiced concern over something I saw during our trip in Rehoboth Beach. My brother-in-law Adrian, Margot's husband, was being way too flirty with a waitress. I pulled Margot aside and gently told her, just in case it was something she hadn't noticed. She was cold and defensive. Later, I overheard her telling Leon that I was trying to stir up sh*t again and that I always ruin things with my buzzkill energy. So this year, I wasn't totally shocked when I got a text from my mom in late May saying, "Cass, we've decided it might be best for everyone if you take a break from the trip this year. There's been a lot of tension and we just want a relaxing week. Hope you understand." I reread that message 10 times. I didn't reply. I just stared at it, stunned. No conversation. No invitation to talk. Just don't come. I cried that night. I felt humiliated, embarrassed, but mostly, rejected. This wasn't a friend group or coworkers. This was my family. I wasn't even given the chance to defend myself. It was a decision made about me, not with me. And the worst part? Not a single person, not Margot, not Leon, not even my dad, reached out separately. A few days after they left, I started getting weird notifications on my iPad. At first I thought it was a glitch. Then I realized, Margot's iCloud was still synced to the device. See, earlier this year I helped her set up a new iPhone while she visited me. I let her borrow my iPad during the process. I guess she never logged out. Her photo stream, message previews, and even location data were coming through. At first, I didn't look. I told myself it was wrong. Invasive. But then, I caved. It started innocently enough, pictures of the beach, the kids playing, selfies. Normal stuff. I felt sad, but not bitter. Until I noticed an album titled, "No Cass Vibes Only." Inside were pictures of Margot, Adrian, my mom and dad, Leon and his girlfriend, and a couple cousins I haven't seen in years. Everyone was holding drinks, making toasts, and dancing in a hotel lounge. There were captions and filters and emojis. One video had Leon yelling, "Shout out to mom for uninviting Debbie Downer. Best trip yet," and everyone laughed. I felt like I was watching my own funeral party. Then it got worse. There were screenshots of their group chat. The group name? No Buzzkills 2024. In one message, Margot had written, "Y'all, we should have done this years ago." I forgot what it felt like to breathe without Cass sighing through every joke. Leon responded, "Can we just agree this is the new tradition? No Cass equals no problems." Adrian, "Unless she hacks into our phones and sues us for emotional neglect." Then, as I was still trying to convince myself that this was just immature sibling banter, I saw the photos that made my stomach drop. Adrian, Margot's husband, dancing way too close with a woman in a short red dress. Same resort lounge. Several photos. In one, they were making out. In another, she had her leg over his lap. More videos followed. Sloppy drunk dancing. Grinding. At one point in a video, my mom is off to the side with Leon, laughing. She says, "Well, as long as Margot doesn't see it, I couldn't breathe." I took screenshots. Every single one. Then came the final cherry on top. A photo of my mom sitting with Margot in a hotel room, both of them wine drunk and flipping through what looked like a black notebook. My journal. Months ago, I accidentally left one of my old journals at Margot's house after a weekend visit. I thought I lost it or maybe tossed it in a move. The caption on the photo? "Tonight's bedtime story, The Sad Bitch Diaries." They were reading my private thoughts out loud for laughs. I snapped. I booked a flight to Myrtle Beach for the next morning. I didn't even pack much. I just took my laptop, a change of clothes, and my phone. I got there by noon and checked into the same resort under a separate reservation. I didn't tell them. I walked to the opposite side of the property. Watched them from a distance once, by the pool. No one noticed me. I waited until I saw on their iCloud messages that they were going out to dinner. Then I used the backup room key code Margot had texted me months ago and entered their suite. I didn't touch anything. I simply placed an envelope on each bed. Inside? A printed copy of the screenshots. All of them. The cheating. The insults. The journal. Everything. On the top page was a note, handwritten, "Thanks for proving everything I ever feared was true. I've kept your secrets for years. I'm done. See you back in New York, if you can still look me in the eye." Then I left. I didn't fly home right away. I stayed one extra night in a cheap motel down the street. I wanted to be out of the resort by the time they got back. The next morning, my phone was lighting up like it was on fire. "Margot, Cass, please call me. This got way out of hand. We didn't mean any of it. Adrian, this isn't what it looks like. You're taking things too far. Leon, you broke into our room. That's insane." My mom left me 3 voicemails, the third one crying. "I didn't know they were reading your journal. I didn't laugh. I swear. Please don't do anything drastic." A week passed. I didn't reply. 2 weeks. Then Margot sent flowers. A card. Then a voicemail, "Cass, I know what you saw was ugly. I'm sorry. But please don't send those photos to anyone. Adrian and I are working through things. Please." That's when it hit me, they weren't sorry because they hurt me. They were sorry because I had proof. I didn't respond. Not because I didn't want to, believe me, I typed out 100 different things. Some angry, some cold, some heartbreakingly sad. But I deleted every draft. What could I say that they hadn't already laughed about behind my back? Instead, I saved everything. The photos, the messages, the videos, the journal picture, all backed up in a password-protected folder on my laptop and another copy in a cloud drive under a new alias. Maybe that was petty. But after years of biting my tongue for the sake of family, I felt entitled to a little control. I wasn't planning to blackmail them. I just didn't trust them anymore. Trust had to be earned, and they'd burned every bridge down to the foundation. About a month after they got back, my mom invited me over for dinner. "Just the 2 of us," she said. She offered to make my favorite, chicken piccata, and said she missed me. I went. Against my better judgment, I went. Maybe part of me still wanted to believe she had a heart under all that denial. Her kitchen was too clean, like it had been staged. She was too nice. Uncomfortably polite. There was a gift bag on the table with a candle and a bath bomb in it. It screamed damage control. She didn't bring up the vacation until halfway through dinner. "Margot is devastated," she said softly, slicing into her chicken like we were discussing someone's job loss. I nodded but didn't say anything. "She says she never meant to hurt you. That it was just joking, a way to vent." I looked her dead in the eye and asked, "Would you be okay with me venting by reading your private thoughts out loud for a laugh?" She blinked. The corner of her lip twitched, like she wanted to scold me for the tone, but knew she couldn't justify it this time. "I didn't read your journal," she said. "But you saw it happening. I thought it was something Margot wrote. I didn't recognize it as yours at first. That wasn't true. My name was in it." My handwriting, unmistakable. But I didn't argue. She was scrambling, trying to rewrite the story to ease her own guilt. I didn't want you to feel left out, she added weakly. But you did leave me out. On purpose. Because I'm not fun enough? Because I have boundaries? She didn't answer. Just twisted her cloth napkin in her lap. Then she leaned in a little and lowered her voice. Please don't tell Adrian's family about the photos. It could destroy everything. They're trying to work through it. And there it was. That was the real reason for the dinner. It wasn't about reconciliation. It was about containment. I stood up, put my fork down gently, and said, "You're not actually sorry. You're just scared I'll expose what's already been exposed." Her face went pale. She started to protest, but I didn't stick around to hear the rest. That night, Margot texted me again. Just 4 words, "Please don't ruin us." No, I'm sorry. Now I miss you. Just a plea to protect the lie. I didn't reply. I haven't spoken to her directly since. Instead, I've been doing things I never allowed myself to enjoy when I was wrapped up in trying to be the good daughter or good sister. I took a solo trip to Montreal, something I've wanted to do for years but always skipped because it overlapped with the annual vacation. I redecorated my apartment, bought new furniture, and even got a cat. Her name is Dottie, and she's the first living being in my home who doesn't make me feel like I'm too much or not enough. It's weird, but I've been happier. Lonelier at times, sure. But it's a cleaner kind of loneliness. Not like being surrounded by people who act like they love you while mocking you behind your back. I haven't told Devin's wife. Yet. That's the part one still wrestle with. She's kind. She once gave me a ride to the airport and told me how lucky Margot was to have a sister like me. She deserves to know the truth. But I know what kind of bomb that would drop on 2 families. And I'm not sure I want to be the one to press that button. I still have the screenshots. I still have the videos. They don't know where or how I've stored them. Only that I have them. And that's what's keeping them polite now. Funny how fast toxic energy turns into please let's talk when you hold the receipts. I haven't decided what to do yet. I don't think I've even fully absorbed what happened. One minute I was excluded from a family trip like I was contagious, and the next I was sitting on a pile of evidence that shattered every illusion I had about the people who raised me. They're walking on eggshells now. Leon reached out a few days ago, casually offering to grab coffee sometime. He's never invited me for coffee in his life. That's how I know Margot or my mom must have put him up to it. My therapist says I should take my time. That this is a kind of grief, and I need to feel it fully before I decide what closure looks like. She's right. But part of me still wants to make them sit in their own discomfort just a little longer. They always told me I was too sensitive. Too uptight. Too dramatic. But now? Now they're the ones panicking about the drama. Funny how that works. The messages haven't stopped. Margot texts me every couple of days. They've shifted in tone. At first it was apologies, generic and impersonal, "I'm so sorry for how things happened. I never meant to hurt you." Then it turned to guilt-tripping, "I've been having trouble sleeping. I keep thinking about how broken our family is now." And lately, they're more desperate, almost transactional, "Can we meet? I'll bring the journal. You can destroy it yourself. Please." She still doesn't get it. This isn't about the journal anymore. It was never just about the journal. It's about being the family scapegoat for years. The one whose opinions were too harsh, whose feelings were inconvenient, whose presence was just tolerated, but never truly welcomed. I replay so many little moments now with a different lens. Like that time 3 years ago when I suggested we rent 2 cars for the trip because one wasn't big enough, and Leon called me logistics Cass like it was some kind of insult. Or when my mom told me to lighten up after Margot passive-aggressively mimicked my voice during a game of charades. And the silence that followed when I left the table early at that seafood dinner last year, overwhelmed and holding back tears. No one came to check on me. I thought I was just too sensitive. Maybe they didn't mean it that way. But they did. They meant it exactly that way. And now, without realizing it, they gave me undeniable proof of it. Adrian hasn't reached out directly since that first message. Which, frankly, surprises me. I expected some kind of damage control, maybe even a threat. But so far, silence. I have to assume Margot is managing that fire on her own. I wonder if she told him I've kept the videos. I wonder if he's panicking beneath the surface. Sometimes I imagine her watching him sleep and wondering if it's worth protecting him. I wonder if she's doing the math on whether she cares more about her marriage or her image. Knowing Margot, it's probably the latter. My father, who has always been the quiet one, called me once. Left a voicemail. "Hey, kiddo, just wanted to say I miss you. This whole thing's gotten out of hand, and I wish we could have talked sooner. Your mom and I don't want this to become permanent. You're our daughter. We love you." It should have meant something. But it didn't. Not because I don't want to believe he loves me, but because loving someone and standing up for them aren't the same thing. He never once defended me when my siblings mocked me. Never called out Margot for her snide comments, or told Leon to back off when he turned my boundaries into punchlines. Love isn't real if it only lives in silence. That voicemail was weeks ago. I haven't responded. He hasn't followed up. The funny thing is, I haven't told anyone about this outside of therapy. Not friends, not coworkers, not my book club. The story is too messy, too personal. I've kept it all to myself, holding it close like a secret weapon. But keeping it in has made the weight heavier. Sometimes I catch myself checking Margot's iCloud again. Yes, it's still connected. She hasn't figured it out, or maybe she has and hopes I'm no longer looking. Last week, a notification popped up. A photo. She was sitting on the back porch with a glass of wine, looking out at the sunset. Caption: trying to breathe. Trying to forgive. Trying to move forward. I stared at it for a long time. At first, I was angry. Then I laughed. Forgive me? I'm the one who was mocked. Lied to. Discarded. They always had their circle. Their jokes. Their shared disapproval of me. Now that I've stepped away, that circle feels tighter and emptier. They're looking around, realizing the scapegoat's gone, and with her went their ability to ignore their own ugliness. What do they talk about now that I'm not around to ridicule? At night, I still think about the journal photo. That hit me the hardest. That wasn't just a moment of bad taste. That was a deliberate violation. They read my words. My inner life. Things I never said out loud, fears, thoughts, memories, turned into a performance. And my mother was there. She didn't stop them. She laughed. That's what keeps me from replying. That's the part that replays in my head when I wonder if I should just forgive and let go. It was a line that should never have been crossed. And it tells me everything I need to know about how they truly see me. As a spectacle. A cautionary tale. A character in their story, not a person with pain. They want silence now. Not because they regret their actions, but because they fear the consequences. They don't want their carefully curated lives cracked open. They're afraid that if the truth leaks out, they'll lose more than just me. What they don't realize is, they already did. I still haven't told Devin's wife. I see her posts online now and then. Photos of their kids, little family outings, birthday cakes and matching pajamas. She still tags Adrian in everything. I wonder if she feels that familiar sense of disconnection, the one I used to feel with my ex. That slow drift into separate worlds even while sharing the same bed. I wonder if she suspects anything. I wonder if telling her would help her, or just hurt her more. Would she thank me for the truth? Or resent me for delivering it? I wish I had an answer. Meanwhile, my life goes on. Quiet, but mine. I've started writing again, not in a journal this time, but a locked notes app on my phone. I write down everything, what I remember, what I'm learning, what I want to say but never will. It helps, in a strange way. Helps me reclaim something. Helps me make sense of the person they painted me to be. Helps me stay grounded in the truth I've always known. Deep down, I was never the problem. I was the mirror they didn't want to look into. It was about 2.5 months after the Sedona betrayal when the idea of actual revenge first started to take shape in my mind. Not the dramatic, movie kind. I wasn't going to slash tires or expose anyone online. That wasn't my style. I didn't want to humiliate them, I wanted them to feel the same bitter clarity I had felt in that moment of betrayal. To sit in the discomfort of being unmasked, privately, completely, and undeniably. So I waited. I let the silence do some of the work. People don't know what to do with silence. They get nervous. They fill it with assumptions. And guilt. Especially when they know they deserve it. Around mid-April, a perfect opportunity presented itself. Nora had landed a new job, head of operations at a mid-sized nonprofit in Eugene, a decent step up from where she'd been. I saw the LinkedIn announcement through a mutual contact. A few days later, the nonprofit's official Instagram account posted a smiling headshot of her and a caption welcoming her to the team. It was harmless. Until I remembered the photos. One of the group photos from Sedona showed Adam and Nora a little too close on a patio chair, wine glasses in hand, with the time and date embedded in the metadata. That exact date happened to be during the final hiring phase for her job. Her bio in the official announcement praised her dedication to transparency, family values, and integrity. The irony was too rich. I printed the photo. Then I printed another. And another. Not for blackmail. I wasn't going to send them anywhere. I just wanted to hold the truth in my hands for once. Something about it made everything feel real, physical, indisputable. It gave me peace. But then, something changed. Something subtle but almost poetic. I received an email from a woman named Riley. She said she was the wife of one of Adam's coworkers. She'd seen him with Nora at a fundraiser a couple of weekends prior and had heard whispers that they were seeing each other again. Riley had done some internet digging, found my name attached to his in an old engagement post, and reached out to ask if I had any background. At first, I was going to ignore it. But then I realized something important: I didn't have to do anything anymore. Their choices were unraveling on their own. The truth, like sunlight, was doing what I could never force it to do. It was leaking out through the cracks in their stories. I wrote Riley back. Briefly. Politely. I told her I had been engaged to Adam 2 years ago, that the engagement ended due to infidelity, and that I was no longer in contact with anyone in that circle. I told her I hoped she found whatever clarity she was seeking, and then I wished her well. She replied the next morning. Thank you for confirming. I thought I was going crazy. It all makes sense now. I think others will want to know, too. I didn't ask what she meant by that. I didn't need to. Over the next few weeks, the ripple effects made their way to me indirectly. A mutual acquaintance mentioned in passing that Nora had suddenly gone on leave from her new job. I didn't ask for details. But my gut told me the whispers had turned into conversations, and the conversations had turned into questions. Meanwhile, Margot posted a long, vague caption on Facebook. Sometimes, in our desire to protect our peace, we hurt people we love. Growth means accountability. I'm working on it. Please be patient with me. No one in the comments seemed to know what she was talking about. But I did. I still hadn't responded to her messages, and I didn't plan to. The final piece of this strange, quiet revenge came not with some dramatic confrontation, but in the form of a forwarded email. It was from my father. He had written it to Mallory, Nora, and Margot. I don't know how I ended up with it. Maybe one of them accidentally CC'd me, or maybe one of them forwarded it in some desperate bid for sympathy. But it landed in my inbox one afternoon while I was cleaning my apartment. The subject line was, "We failed her." In the email, he wrote about Sedona. About the years leading up to it. About how they had alienated me not because I was negative, but because I was right. He acknowledged that I'd carried the weight of everyone's projections for years, that when I set boundaries, they called me cold. When I expressed hurt, they called me dramatic. When I distanced myself, they accused me of ruining the family dynamic. He wrote, "We made her feel like she didn't belong, and then blamed her for not fitting in. That's on us. We didn't protect her. We didn't even listen to her. She's the only one who saw us clearly. And now she's gone. I don't blame her. I wouldn't come back either." I read it 3 times. Then I sat on the floor and cried. Not because it made me sad, but because it made me feel seen. Finally, it was the closest thing to justice I was ever going to get. They had turned me into the villain to justify what they did. But now, in the aftermath, they were the ones falling apart under the weight of their own choices. And I was thriving. I was running again, eating better, and sleeping peacefully. I reconnected with a former college friend, someone who had always respected my boundaries, someone who listened. We went on a few hikes. Then dinners. Then more. It wasn't love yet. But it was real. It was kind. And best of all? It was mine. My revenge didn't come with fireworks. It came quietly. Slowly. Through self-respect. Through watching their world unravel while I rebuilt mine, brick by brick, with people who actually deserved to be part of it. And every time I pass the drawer where I keep that envelope full of screenshots, I smile. Not because I plan to use them. But because I don't have to. They already did the damage themselves. And now they're the ones left holding the silence.